to follow you and go and say that it is wrong, then at what point are we going to develop as a country? And you see, one of the reasons is also that our land administration project, we started in 2003. So anytime you
Whenever I say my PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Egypt, exactly. What is preventing us? Because the level that we are going is not sustainable. Accra, we have not got it where we have to build at wager. I keep telling people, what is the population of Accra? But it's because of the way and manner we have not regulated our housing sector that we have to do what we call urban renewal. She went to the ECOWAS court. I advised the madam at that time, in those days I was advising her, resign and negotiate. But when you are working with people who do not give good advice, Proverbs 13:20 will expose it. She said, no, she will go to ECOWAS court. I said, look, Walter Onojin, he was the Chief Justice of Nigeria. In 2019, Buhari came and sacked him. Why did he sack him? He said that indeed he failed to declare his assets. Onojin was living in Lagos. The distance between Lagos and Abuja, very close. He could have gone to the ECOWAS court, but he processed it. So you went to the ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS court says all that happened in Ghana was within the confines of the law, and that none of your rights were trampled upon. What else can we see? And along the same time, went to ECOWAS as well. The Supreme Court dismissed her case, and then the committee went on. She was found guilty of the issues raised. In fact, that they've only raised 21 issues of misbehavior and 4 issues of incompetence. How can we be in a country and the Chief Justice, someone that can call someone to be behind bars in Insawam? You are saying that her measure must be lower than those of us ordinary? No way. At the end of the day, she was found culpable and she was removed from office. So what makes anybody think that Madam Tokolo was bigger than the constitution of this land?
Not at all.
And when we do this, I hear some people, tomorrow when you also come to power, what can you do? What can you do? If the constitution is so behind, you can't do focal. We are building a nation. I said one of the things that I accused the SY Parliament of is their inability to have impeached President Akufo-Addo. One day there should be that confidence, that boldness to impeach a certain president who is misbehaving. If the constitution did not envisage the removal of a chief justice, it would never have put it in our constitution. So I am for it. I believe that where we are as a country, we are moving on. And like I said, it was the NPP party when Bafu Boni came. In the case of Pandai, as my brother alluded to, were openly praising the very society the and the chief justice led them for how they handled the Pandai issue. So I think we are on the right path. And I'm very happy with that the race and get the person out this time around. I pray and hope that it clears everyone, including me, if I have my property on the waterway. So that we will go. There can never be development without destruction. And nature will take care of itself. Don't do illegal mining. You go and do it. And when the railings carry all of you, say, I should cry for out. Because we would die out of our iniquities. The monies that they go and look for, do they bring you some? Do the right thing. There are right ways of doing mining that will not affect all of us. You say, I don't know whether people have forgotten their history. The first time we applied Article 146 was under President Mohammed's regime. Remember Vivian Loretta Lamte? Yeah. And my NPP people, some of them do not have institutional memory. Who were those that petitioned for Madame Lamte to be removed? Another prayer and Nyama, Rich Nyama, were they CPP or UP members? They were NPP members. And at that time, it was an NDC president that was president. And I agree at that time that yes, Madame Loretta Lamte had to be booted from office. Because you cannot come occupy Shine office and be using our money to be renting hotels. About $148,000. When it happened, did the NPP not say the rule of law was working? What about Charlotte say? So one of the reasons why I was so furious with Madam Sofia Kufu was that in Charlotte case, you determined the prime minister. Using Article 146, you said that Charlotte had an issue to answer in terms of procurement. So established the committee. And that don't send your husband and daughter on international travels. You do that and take per diem for them, and you come and tell me that these are no issues. Excuse my French. So she was booted out of us. And I clap for the president for being bold. We need bold people in this country. And I was so happy. Why you wouldn't do it? Build in the right places. But all these things come back to the fact that those that are the assemblies, and we have all the beautiful laws. As for laws, we don't like it. We have it. But who are those who are going to stand on their feet and say that, you, I will do what is right, you vote against me? I keep using Minila as an example. But for Minila, Koforidua Central would have been Zongo. The time that he was taking the action, people were burying live cats, dogs. They said they were chanting. But he did it. Today, it is a beautiful place. So I would rather encourage politicians that when you are giving, and for those people, they will come. I want to put my container here. Look, you see where President Akufo-Addo lives. Besides the Kasapa area, it was all occupied by containers. Now, so like, what sort of impunity is this? Anytime the assembly attempts, oh, we voted for him too one day. That assemblyman, I love him. Then you have to clear all of them. They cleared and now they have planted some grass. Beautiful. So various mayors. When Noko Vanderpoel was the mayor of Accra, I loved him and I still love him. You see, Aveno area, the rail line. Accra, the capital, go there, they are selling sheep and gold. Why? He cleared all of them. And you know me, I am in Okakwi South, and it falls under constituency. Because of Vanderpoel was an NDC, then they came to tell us that we must go and use it to do campaign. I said, you people are mad. I should go and campaign that the man has done what is wrong. So I said, okay, let's go and do the campaign. When we got to that place, I started telling them that these are nation wreckers. That's what I started having problem with them. That the person has done what is right, because I don't have a mind of my own. I should follow you and go and say that it is wrong. Then at what point are we going to develop as a country? And you see, one of the reasons is also that our land administration project, we started in 2003. So anytime you Kwame Jan speak, I laugh. They were supposed to do a meticulous job, a good job, to make sure that all the agencies involved in land are brought to under one roof, to the extent that when anybody decided to buy land, like it happens in Côte d'Ivoire, a simple click will show whether that land falls within a Ramsar site or so. We dilly-dallied with it. We didn't do anything serious. And you know, for instance, in Accra, if anybody will not like Accra, it's because of accommodation. The landlord, the landlady, we have not increased cement yet. And he or she built the house 1940. But anytime there is an increase in cement price, he increases rent. You ask him, what cement are you buying that you want to increase it? So everyone is rushing to put up something. That is why, as a government, it's a policy. Addis Ababa, you go there, government has introduced a policy. You build on the first floor. Someone's land is on your first floor. He will also continue. Egypt, exactly. What is preventing us? Because the level that we are going is not sustainable. Accra, we have not got it to where we have to build at Wager. I keep telling people, what is the population of Accra? But it's because of the way and manner we have not regulated our housing sector that we have to do what we call urban renewal, put more high-rise buildings. The last time I was inquiring about this, the Ghana Fire Service do not have the equipment to go beyond 10 floors. I said, you must be crazy. The equipment that goes beyond the 10th floor, bed Khalifa, it's not about 200 something. How are people able to go there? So the reasons are obtainable. Asala down, the Kokomlemles, the North Kaneshis, all those places needs urban renewal. story buildings to accommodate country. We are only the political organization that has our plan already in place, awaiting implementation. I'll move on to Tokono.
You came late. I already invited Ken.
Oh
yes, I did before you.
No, you can take care. We will take the members. No problem. It's a fair deal.
You can give him care, man.
You can take care.
You can take care.
We will take the members.
Ken is coming with the members.
You take them. Ken, we have taken the base. So the base. You align quickly. Now talk on. I'm listening to my brothers. They have made the points. I will only add few things. Sender, you know, I have some Bible quotations that I don't play with, and it guides my movements wherever I find myself. If you had your Bible before you, you could read for me Proverbs 13:20, so that it guides anybody that is walking on this earth and in this world. It's very important. You see, sometimes when you have an issue, you must understand what this word stands for. Are you there with me?
Not here.
You'll be there, don't worry. so that the issue of Tokono is put in the right perspective.
Walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffer harm.
Absolutely. So now when you work with the wise people in your life, you will definitely become a wise person. But they will take you through the lane of being wise. And when you work with fools, you are likely to be harmed. This is where I will start my journey from. You know, when Tokonu's issues, and remember, that was one of the first times Article 146 was being used to remove anybody from office. And it's the reason why, when this whole issue started, I stood by President Mahama. People said, oh, now you are heading. No, I believe in principle. You can say all that you can say about me, no. But when someone is doing what is right, you will have my support. When Daniel Ofori petitioned the president, when Akogo Ayanga petitioned the president, when the Shining Star people petitioned, all that I did was I went to Article 146 to check whether the president would behave outside the confines of the Constitution. So I checked and realized that the moment the president received the petition, he has nothing to do than to forward it to the Council of State. Now, along that line, and that's why I made you to quote Proverbs 13:20. We had Vincent Ekwasifwa, who was not part of the petition. Nobody has petitioned the president that you are Vincent Ekwasifwa, you are being removed from parliament. So it means he didn't have any clue about the petition. Unprovoked, we saw him issue a writ in the court that because Madame Tokonu has not been allowed to respond to the petition, the entire process must be injuncted. And who was his lawyer? Godfrey Dami. So some of us said, but this must not be reduced into the realm of politics. The petitioners involved are not politicians. If indeed you are going to look at their background, I know Mr. Daniel Ofori as a member of the NPP. So don't let us go the political angle. In any case, how did you, Vincent Asifwa, get to know that Madame Tokono has received a petition and has not? There is a petition about Madame Tokono and he has not been given a copy. It means there has been some discussions between Madame Tokono and you, Vincent Asifwa. Lo and behold, the president gave Madame Tokono 10 days instead of the 7 days to respond to the petition. When the petition was responded to, the president, all that the president did was to forward it to the Council of State. The Council of State is made up of 31 members. Is that not the case? Now, 31 members sat and 30 of them said yes, there was a question to answer. One member abstained. We did not know the member, but now they claim it's Justice Sophia Akufu. Is that not the case? Now, abstinence does not mean you do not agree. So now, if I disagree with something, I'll vote no. I will not say I'm not taking part. If we say we are voting for Senna, whether Senna is a good journalist or a bad journalist, take good, bad, or abstinence. And you take abstinence, does not mean that we say Senna is good, neither you say he is bad. So you abstained. But at the Council of State, Justice Sophia Akufu is in charge or was in charge of the legal, constitutional, and petition. So any petition that went to the Council of State, she was the one that they would give to, open it, discuss with the entire Council of State, and come to conclusion. We took part in this decision, and later turned around and said you were going to testify or serve as a witness for Madam Tokono. That's fine. Based on the constitution, Madam Tokono was suspended. It's a constitutional provision. A committee was formed. When Madam Tokono went to the committee, she went there with her lawyers. Together, all of them submitted close to about 10,000 documents. They went through the process. She was heard to the extent that, contrary to the constitutional provision that bars people from coming out with the positions of the committee, Madam Tokono actually held a press conference exposing whatever was happening at the committee level. I thought that was a contempt of court. So beyond that, I said I was going to even petition the Council of State for Madam Justice Sophia Akufu to be removed as a Council of State member. She granted the interview on the 2nd of September 2025. I said on the 3rd of September 2025 that I was going to petition for her to be removed. Around that same day, around that same time, that she resigned. So I got wind of it as I was not going to petition again. Beyond the Vincent Asifa, we had my own brother Kwabnabon Fedems, also through the citizenship, a movement or so, go to court to try and put injunction on this matter. The court sat on it and they said no. There was a case once what the committee was doing, there was nothing wrong with it. Now the Oboro herself, Tokono, went to the Supreme Court, have you forgotten? To stop the proceedings. And along the same time, went to ECOWAS as well. The Supreme Court dismissed her case, and then the committee went on. She was found guilty of the issues raised. In fact, that they've only raised 21 issues of misbehavior and 4 issues of incompetence. How can we be in a country and the Chief Justice, someone that can call someone to be behind bars in Insawam? You are saying that her measure must be lower than those of us ordinary? No way. That don't send your husband and daughter on international travels. You do that and take per diem for them, and you come and tell me that these are no issues. Excuse my French. So she was booted out of us. And I clap for the president for being bold. We need bold people in this country. And I was so happy. When she went to the ECOWAS court, I advised her, the madam, at that time, in those days I was advising her, resign and negotiate. But when you are working with people who do not give good advice, Proverbs 13:20 will expose it. She said, no, she will go to ECOWAS court. I said, look, Walter Olojin, he was the Chief Justice of Nigeria. In 2019, Buhari came and sacked him. Why did he sack him? He said that, indeed, he failed to declare his assets. Olojin was living in Lagos. The distance between Lagos and Abuja, very close. He could have gone to the ECOWAS court, but he processed it. So you went to the ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS court says all that happened in Ghana was within the confines of the law, and that none of your rights were trampled upon. What else can we say? And I don't know whether people have forgotten their history. The first time we applied Article 146 was under President Mohammed's regime. Remember Vivian Loretta Lante? Yeah. And my NPP people, some of them do not have institutional memory. Who were those that petitioned for Madame Lante to be removed? Another prayer and Nyama, Rich Nyama, were they CPP or UP members? They were NPP members. And at that time, it was an NDC president that was president. And I agree at that time that yes, Madame Lante had to be booted from office. Because you cannot come occupy Shag office and be using our money to be renting hotels, about $148,000. When it happened, did the NPP not say the rule of law was working? What about Charlotte say? So one of the reasons why I was so furious with Madame Sophia Kufu was that in Charlotte case, you determined the Prime Minister. Using Article 146, you said that Charlotte had an issue to answer in terms of procurement. So established the committee. At the end of the day, she was found culpable and she was removed from office. So what makes anybody think that Madame Tokonu was bigger than the constitution of this land? And when we do this, I hear some people tomorrow when you also come to power. What can you do? What can you do? If the constitution is so behind, you can't do focal. We are building a nation. I said one of the things that I accused the S1 Parliament of is their inability to have impeached President Akufo-Addo. One day there should be that confidence, that boldness to impeach a certain president who is misbehaving. If the constitution did not envisage the removal of a chief justice, it would never have put it in our constitution. So I am for it. I believe that where we are as a country, we are moving on. And like I said, it was the NPP party when Bafu Boni came. In the case of Panda, as my brother alluded to, were openly praising the court and the chief justice for how they handled the Panda issue. So I think we are on the right path, and once we do that, anybody that misbehaves, get the person out. I'll end my submission here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If you're just joining us, this is the Mother of all talk shows, Alagi and Alagi. Of course, I don't have to reintroduce him. He's more popular than I am. Then I read a few comments. This is Richard Azika from Mandafiano in Deno, who says, good morning. Where can the former Chief Justice go again after ECOWAS court ruling? And if she cannot be reinstated, are there any benefits for her for the services she rendered to the nation? We should all be careful because the law is the law. Like I said, she's still at the Supreme Court. This one says, this is from Bibiani Miaso Bekwai Municipality. Charles Champon says, I think the constitutionally removed Gertrude Tokonu and her subsequent loss of all relief sought by her through the ECOWAS court is very gratifying. Gertrude Tokonu was an existential threat to our judiciary because Afenyomakin filed a suit in the morning against Parliament, and in the same day, justices were empaneled by Gertrude Tokonu to injunct Parliament. I hear the NPP and his apology say Tokonu is handed out of office because the NDC made a pronouncement for her removal when in opposition. For me, Gertrude Tokonu's removal is a good riddance. I am not an NDC member in any form or shape. I am only being objective. Charles, thank you very much. So those are some of the comments. This is okay, Julie Belinda Aubry on Facebook, who says 5 cases were filed in the Supreme Court on her ladyship justice Tokonu's removal. 1 was abandoned and got struck out, leaving 4 pending. This note is on 2 of the. Okay, so these are 4 altogether. I hear they have been consolidated. Well, correct.
Yes, on this issue, I would like to say that as much as we Pan-Africanists are mostly dissatisfied with the Pan-African project, I think a few things have been gotten right, and this is one of them, the ECOWAS court. Before I came here, I went on their website, and they have a lot of cases there. Even individuals have petitioned on simple issues, and the issues and matters have been dealt with. And I think this is one of the successes of Pan-African unity, an institution, a Pan-African institution that is working. And I also noticed that the Chief Justice's petition were actually grounded on a document called the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. So it means that the Pan-Africanist project, if we put our effort to it, will work. There is a people's and human and people's rights charter, and a courts where people can go and litigate their rights in those courts, which are all Pan-African. So I am very happy, and we wish that there will be much of such institutions and forums there where human people who are Africans can go and seek redress and reliefs. We hope that we can come together closer for development in addition to this success. So I'm actually impressed with the work that has been done by the ECOWAS court. And so following from that, I actually went through her reliefs. She sought 10 reliefs. I'll just go through some of them, but some of the ones that stands out is that she wanted the court to strike out the panel that was instituted because the panel was not considered to guarantee her rights and fair hearing. And I'm sure she wanted to adduce evidence to that conclusion that she held. And then she wanted the declaration of her suspension, which is provided by the Article 146, as Senior has mentioned several. That suspension constituted a violation of a human right to fair, equitable, and satisfactory condition of work guaranteed by Article 15 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. And so I'm sure she also went there with a statement to support that claim. She also wanted a declaration that would subject the applicant to an illegal and unfair investigation and trial. So I'm sure she would have gone there to make her case in regard to that. But of course, we all know that, as Comrade Solo has mentioned, that the trial, the suspension, and the process, all the way from the petition to the end, and her right to using the court to injunct, to persuade, and all forms of defense were mounted in this case. And I'm sure that is why the court found that her petition didn't have any merit. And she actually, the ninth request was that the court should award her a $10 million compensation for moral and reputational damages that she has suffered because of this process. A process that was guaranteed by the Constitution, the process that was informed by the constitutional provision in the Ghanaian Constitution. And so if you look at the whole episode, you will see that clearly the court went through her petition. They applied the laws of both the ECOWAS and then the African Charter on the Human and People's Rights, and also the constitutional process that went on in Ghana here. So from the legal point of view, she lost. But I'll also go through a little bit of, my brother mentioned the Montesquieu argument for separation of powers. And I would say that yes, the Montesquieu separation of powers works. Because if you look at the age within which those ideas emerged, and those ideas are the ideas that have shaped the governance that we are practicing today. Sometimes it's sad, but there are certain things that are universal, but certain things too that if you are able to evolve from your own environment, it helps you become expert in it. These are the ideas and philosophies of governance that shapes and directs how we govern ourselves in Ghana. But the Montesquieu argument at that time, philosophy at that time, was based on the fact that at that time, the king exercised both the judicial and the executive functions. There were only a few places where you had a parliament, and even those parliaments were selected by a few people, part of the gentry, the ruling class. But what was missing in the Montesquieu model is the grassroots, the popular participation in all the aspects, and also because inbuilt in the Montesquieu model is that the judiciary, if it is independent, the legislature which is independent is inbuilt as a check on the executive. But what we have come to realize is that the idea of judicial accountability is lacking, inherent in the Montesquieu model. And those of us who analyze from a class perspective always want to find out how do we have this kind of settlement which make it like an elite consensus where the people at the top are able to agree among themselves what to do and who to hold accountable and when to hold who accountable. So in that system, the judicial accountability is very silent. That is why we are shocked that a chief justice is removed. That is, it sounds like a scandal or like a big issue because a chief justice is removed and it's not common. But justices are also exercising power, authority, and even in most cases, they are exercising their own views of things, their ethics and their values. So this episode tells us to rethink judicial accountability, because it sounds like if you hold the judiciary accountable, you are attacking the judiciary. We freely criticize the executive. In fact, we can insult the executive, we can petition for them to be removed, and they have been removed, they've been held accountable. As for parliamentarians, we can work on them and condemn them But the moment people touch the judiciary, then it sounds like it's a bastion of paradise that we are attacking, and for which reason it sounds scandalous. And this is something that we need to get over. As we look at democracy, what I always tell myself that what we practice here is not democracy, it's competitive electoral politics. Because if you look at the various forms of democracy and how basically the people making decisions on how they are governed, we make decisions to elect people and they govern us, and at a point in time we go and renew or not renew their mandate. But when it comes to the judiciary, it seems like they are in a world of their own. They make their own rules, which are basically ethics, and it's very difficult to call a judge who has done something wrong to order. So, for instance, and seriously, law is basically a normative domain. I believe this, and I'm able to get people to support that thing, and we make it a law. There is no, it's not like gravity, where if something goes, I must come down. That's why even amongst them, when they are ruling, there are disagreements, because it's their view, their world view, right? They have some few rules, but basically even those rules are made up based on their values and ethics. And that is why we need to take judicial accountability very serious. So this Chief Justice, I remember during her vetting, they asked her about this ruling about birth certificates. I mean, birth certificate, that you can rule that birth certificate is not a source of identification. And she went on to justify it. And she made a ruling that affected many people. And I always say that those rulings are normally, behind it are their ethics, their societal values, and sometimes the instantaneous conditions at that time. At that time, there was a particular environment that favored that she rules in that way, and it became a law. So the judiciary must be held accountable, and the measures to hold the judiciary accountable includes this one, which has not been exercised in many ways, and I'm happy that it has been exercised, and she has gone all the way through the system, and the system has affirmed it. again, the judicial accountability bit must also be extended beyond these few episodes. We must even have inbuilt systems. That number one, even how they are selected, because it is assumed that judges are apolitical, but that is not true. Judges live in the political environment, so they are political. Aside from that, the Article 144, which allows the president to nominate a chief justice. The president is a political animal, so when he's selecting a chief justice or nominating one, I'm not sure he will nominate somebody who may not share his own views. And that is why sometimes when I come here and I say I like a lot of things about the American system, sometimes they are realists. Americans know that justice is political, it's politics. So they say that this is a conservative judge, this is a liberal judge, this is a leftist judge. They openly admit to the reality, not hide behind it. And they use the balance of power through the hearings and all the other things that can checkmate somebody else to be able to make sure that you may get a conservative judge in this district. Somebody here too can get a liberal judge, so that there's a balance of power, and that checks some of these abuses. And for me, one thing that I like about this whole episode is that we have realized that our systems are resilient. I remember last year, the legal fraternity in England, I say the Commonwealth Legal Fraternity, sought to cast some doubt on our judicial independence because of this episode. But what has happened is that post this episode, our systems have held together, the courts are working, and people are now even beginning to get new faith in the constitution. To me, any constitution that is able to guarantee some sort of stability even after crisis is the one that is a good constitution that should be protected. So this whole episode is bringing out shedding out new light on what is our strength and what is our weaknesses. And I believe that the issue of judicial accountability should be taken further, and even who is appointed on the Supreme Court should be taken further. If the ones who are appointing and the executive who are managing our day-to-day affairs, we are comfortable for the grassroots to participate in their selection or election, why not the grassroots participating one way or the other in the judiciary? So this is some of the things that we should think about. Some of us in some other domains have some ideas on how to make the judiciary more open and accountable, and that includes bringing more people to make a decision on who goes on the Supreme Court and how laws, so not only Supreme Court, the judges, the legal profession, and how laws are made. I know that one of the few areas that is being tackled now, which is very good, is that some people have formed another legal organization not in opposition, but in addition to the Ghana Bar Association. I mean, this is the kind of closeness that the legal fraternity has enjoyed, and this is something that we hope that the system will be open and they will be made to face accountability just like everybody else, so that they will not be abusing the legal system. So, Senator, this is where I will end my angle from.
Thank you very much. And well, we'll move on to the matter of the flash shortly. But before that, a few comments from those who are watching us. This Musa Batua. So the constitution is clear. Let me get to that. The constitution is clear. Many public office holders have left office under difficult circumstances and moved on with dignity. Rather than prolonging the matter, Justice Tokonu should respect the constitutional process, focus on the future, and allow Ghana to move forward in peace. If your legal counsel has been accused of coercing a key witness to give false testimony, it is unsurprising that your case may continue to face setbacks. The law is the law. Thank you very much. This one is a good morning to Solomon Owusu. I admire his level of wisdom and how he interprets things. My name is Reverend Stephen Nanayao Apia. That's to to you. Good morning from Phyllis S. Perigo, and sends his regards to the Honourable Member of Parliament for Japa. Your constituents are watching keenly. Stephen again, no matter the ugly noises, the law is the law. These are the words of the Konu. Has the law caught her or not? She was given the opportunity to resign so she can earn her entitlement, but was ill-advised by the NPP and has landed her in trouble. That's Stephen who sent that. This is Bismarck from Adenta. CJ Tokonu had rare opportunity indoors from President Mahama to resign and save her dignity. She declined to eat. Rather to be moving from court to court, thinking the courts are like how she left it. Question is, did she commit a crime or not? Answer is the affirmative. Her lawyers have not been truthful to her. The judiciary and his lordship, Bafuboni, has been reset. If she doesn't know, now after all this humiliation, where else will she go? The law is the law. This is Combat Kingsley Musa from BBAD. Who says Manatoponu removal were right on all directions. Since their tenure, no other political party ever won a case in the Supreme Court, even not for the NPP. And claims she was working for the NPP than the state. That's why the NPP were fighting for her. They want her to be maintained to protect them from the bad they have done to the state. Then there's Asanko who says the current Chief Justice might be doing well, but okay, the current Chief Justice might do, but I totally disagree with his decision to dismiss the petition for the removal of the EC chair and the team, despite all the wrongs they did. That's Asanko in Santa Maria who said that. I apologize for my voice. We need to move on to the next topic, which is the floods in the central region specifically, and also western region. I'll start with the Honourable Member of Parliament for Jirapa on this one.
Well, thank you, my brother, once again. Flood in this country, or flooding in this country, is simply as a result of indiscipline, lawlessness, and above all, bad politics. Bad politics. We sort of, every year, when the rain starts, we come to discuss it, even in the House of Parliament. This is my 6th year in Parliament. And since I came in 2021, anytime it rains, anytime the flood starts, hunting us, then a statement will be made. MPs will speak to the statement. The statement will be referred to some committees to handle, and it dies there. No action, nothing. But for how long can we continuously doing this? Why can't we, for once, as Ghanaians, change our attitude, change our attitude? If we don't change our attitude, the way we do things, and we continuously doing things the same way, we will never get any results. The results will never be different. The results will never be different. You see, water, rain, water is a natural thing. It will come when it will come. So when rain falls, it takes a natural course. Even when water pours in your house on the floor, it takes a course, a path. You don't determine where the water will flow, the direction it flows. You understand? That is how it is. Naturally, when the rain falls, all the water waves in this country, people have decided to build houses, build structures. They fill the rivers, they fill the valleys, they fill the lagoons, and then build houses and put structures on. That's lawlessness, that's impunity. So when you do this and the rain falls, the water have nowhere to go than to enter our houses. Then we come to cry, government should intervene. Which government? Where people should not build, that is where they build. People use their influence to take permits and build at places that they should not build. People use their political connection, network, influence in society to put up structures at places that they should not. And when they come to do this, the neighbors, they watch. I saw some structures, springing up at certain places in East Legon. And I'm like, wow. You go and see where water passes, where when it's rain, water naturally will flow. Then you will go and put a structure. You block the water from flowing naturally. So when it rains, the water will enter our houses. They will submerge people's homes. So basically, that is the problem. So now, check those days. If you want to go to the Zongos, how the Zongos were planned. We were not that sophisticated. We were not that modernized those days. But they could plant and build houses and ensure that, you know, fire, if there is fire outbreak, whatever, cars, they will leave paths such that 3 cars can even run, even 4 cars. That is how even the Zongos were planned. Today, we have all the planners, we have people in PhD in planners, doctors in planning, all of that, and yet look at the kind of structures that we put up, where we put our buildings, how we put our buildings. It's bad. Totally unacceptable. So if we don't really go back to the drawing table and think of doing the right thing, I am telling you that there will be a day that tsunami will occur in this country. Water will come and take all of us away in this country. It is getting closer. We are getting closer to that. People should be very careful. So that when they build these unauthorized structures and people come to demolish them, they say it's witch hunting. People are insensitive. So at what point can we do the right thing? So if we don't want the right thing to be done, then we should be prepared to pay a price, all of us collectively as a nation. Because somebody must do the right thing. Why will people deliberately, because they have money, you go and see a river? I work with the Honorable Oko van der Poel. He's my committee chairman, Foreign Affairs. I'm the vice chairman to the committee. I asked him, I said, Senior, you were a major, like the mayor in Accra here, and you are a native. What do you think causes this perennial flooding in this Accra? My brother, so the reasons he gave, he mentioned Bisi, the Bisi River, mentioned some other rivers, how people they build houses and block, you know, the water from flowing into those rivers and all of that. So he tabulated a whole lot of, you know, causes or reasons why the floods usually will occur every year. And that it is, if we don't go to tackle it from those point of views, it will never be stopped. We will always experience flooding anytime it rains. Galamsey, Western region, Central region, Galamsey, which people now think that is a cow milk. That even in people's homes, they allow Galamsey to take place because they want the gold more than their homes. So when you get the gold, but remember, when it rains, water will flow into your house. So, indiscipline, lawlessness, bad politicking is the reason we are at where we are. So until we get leaders that should be able to crack their whip, that will be able to implement our laws. The laws are there. Go to the assemblies. You will see the laws, the planning unit, where the works department, the laws are there. But what do we see? They themselves, we have some unscrupulous, you know, officers who are in the local government service. They too will take something and issue a permit because they want to also get money. And they know that where this structure, where they are issuing the permit for somebody to put a structure, they know it's not right, yet they will also do it and pick something in their pocket. So everybody is complicit when it comes to the problems of flooding in this country. Everybody. Nobody is exempted. Because, I'm saying nobody is exempted because, look, Parliament must do it rightly. The executive must do it rightly. The public servants, the civil servants must all do it rightly. If everybody is playing their part well, that will actually instill discipline in the system. So if everybody gets to know that, look, the law is the law. When if you don't do this, they will demolish your structure or they won't allow you to build. Look, Sarah, if you go around Accra, you will see red building. When you are building and they come and write, produce permit, stop work. Sometimes they do that and even allow them to be building. They know it is not proper for them to establish or put that structure there, yet they will go and write stop work. Then another time you will go, you won't see the stop work. It means that something has changed hands, or some influence has taken place. So at what point can these things stop? And at what point can we do things rightly? Let us as Ghanaians think rightly. Let's think properly. So if the laws are working, and I've said it, the Constitution, Sana, I have said it. When I talk, the lawyers will come and tell me that, no, there's nothing wrong with Ghana's Constitution. There's everything wrong with the Constitution, some parts of the Constitution. We've made most of the appointments. There are positions in this country, to me, that I think that they should not be appointed. Even in one of my arguments, I have said that, looking at the nature of Ghanaian, if we want to stop this judiciary influence, if we want to stop this, Sana, let's allow people who complete the law school, if they want to join the judicial system, when you complete the law school, you join the judiciary service. Don't go and do a political party bidding, then you catch the eye of a president, then they appoint you a judge. And they will come and tell us that such a judge, now that he's a judge, he will put away his political color. No. No. We have to look at the Constitution, look at some of it, areas that we need to actually take off, we take it off. Areas that we need, referendum, we try to change our style.
Please, you need to wrap up for me.
Look at composition of police council, everybody, yet they think that somebody should be independent. Because the Constitution has virtually made all the positions, political, on paper. You understand? So, Sana, there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done. We have done these things many years without good results. So if we want to achieve some results, we need to really go back to the drawing board. Look at the Constitution, look at where to amend, check police, composition of police council, everything political. Somebody will have to bring somebody. You do all these things at the end of the day, you say the IGP should act well. Hey, the IGP is watching his back. He doesn't want anyone to first hand into his gari. You see? So we have a problem. So indiscipline is the reason why we are, experiencing flooding all over the country. Even the Galamsey that we are talking about, is it not indiscipline? It's indiscipline. So until we change our attitude, we will never get it right. And sometimes I'm sad and disappointed that we, as leaders, we are watching these things happening. And we come to complain every year. In Parliament, people make statements, flood occurs, we visit the president, visit these people, not more send relief items that cannot even help them. And every year it happens. Okay. We should look at how it happened and stop it from there.
This is Kwesi Dawood, who is regional director for NAGMO in the Central Region speaking. Says what we witnessed over the weekend was unprecedented. We have never recorded these volumes of floodwaters over the years, and it is due to the increasing climate change activities and the adverse human activities on our environment. We have most of the inflows being blocked by some citizens for their personal interest. They engage in illegal reclamation of mangrove areas, wetlands, and flood-prone areas to put up structures that block the free flow of water to the designated water receptacles. We also have people dumping refuse into drakes. Let me say good morning to Mr. Amuzu, formerly of Kotobabi Night Market Down. They said it's a step down from my senior brother Kwesi Pratt's genius home where he grew up. That's a message from Raymond Abasaba. And a good morning to you. You are listening. He said we should extend our greetings to Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. He's not here today. But a good morning to Mr. Amuzu, 92 years old, listening to us. Very good morning to you. Mr. Protocol.
I think that I want to make this particular issue, and very forcefully. When we were talking about the judicial, independence, and for that matter, the case of the former CJ Gertrude Tekun. You see, I made a particular analysis based on the fact that issues actually arose based on certain things that some petitioners thought that, it formed a watertight evidence for her to be impeached. Now today, because I indicated that the way the NDC is moving is not good, especially so when they want to now, subsume the responsibility of the judiciary as an appendage of the NDC. Today, let me just give you a very classical example. There is this particular idea of July 3rd, that were circulating to the point that some members of the NDC, circulated that particular issue very widely.
Don't forget, you have 10 minutes.
Yes, I know. I just wanted to make that particular point just so that people would come to appreciate what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Because if we are not very careful, and we as a political party, we procure justices, or we want to make sure that we will let's punish this particular person through the court system. These things are bad. So I am not actually going to make any fetish in terms of that particular July 10th issue. But of course, because AGG Tamaklo even came out on social media and even warned, or if you like, advise some members of the NDC to refrain from that particular thing, which for me is very good, or was very good. I think that that particular matter should be looked at in such a way that we as politicians should try as much as we can to make that particular organ of government untouchable, such that none of us as a political party would want to interfere. Now, you're talking about the flooding situation in Central Region and parts of Western Region. And my brother has actually, made a very, a fantastic, analysis on that. I really don't have much to say about that. But you see, one thing that baffles me is that, first of all, don't we have laws and regulations that actually govern how buildings are constructed within our within our localities? The truth of the matter is that we have. Now the question also that arises is that which particular bodies or institutions are responsible for land allocations for purposes of this particular kind of activities. So for me, the root cause of this matter has to do with the fact that it is we, that is authorities, who are clothed with the power to allocate lands for purposes of constructions or building, houses and etc. Those particular persons are actually doing us more harm than good, and it cuts across the chieftaincy institutions, the government agencies that are responsible for doing this kind of monitoring and all that. So it is for me, it is not for nothing that every year we always come out to cry about this. We will continue to cry to the extent that we are not able to put a lasting solutions to this matter. This particular thing would continue to rear its ugly head. Now, the metro, what is it called? The institution that actually, read weather and actually comes out to tell us, the meteorological, services department. I think that they came out to say that this year's rain that Ghana is going to witness, or for that matter, some parts of West Africa are going to witness, would be a particular rainfall pattern that has never, that have actually not existed for 40 years ago. So that means that they have given us that particular, alert. So authorities need to, based on that particular information, to be able to ensure that, certain things are put in its right perspective. I think that there is also another issue that has to do with the idea of building on waterways, which my brother has actually, alluded to. Why is it that authorities would just close their eyes to people building on waterways at a point in time that it actually is, rearing its ugly head? Then we will now call on agencies like NADMO to come to their aid. For me, leadership is about purpose. Leadership is about ensuring that you ensure that the rules and regulations govern whatever issues are done. So I want to call on NADMO or all other agencies that are responsible for all these kinds of things to ensure that they don't allow people to through willy-nilly or whatever it is, to continue building on waterways. It actually are having a very, a bad issue for us. Now, another major issue has to do with the construction. Some buildings, in terms of its engineering dynamics, are not actually, worthy for consideration. You will realize that, just as I think about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we experienced certain unfortunate, incidents in Accra, in Greater Accra, just because we experienced certain rains and some buildings are collapsing and all that. Institutions that are mandated to check on people's buildings and, in terms of whether or not it is worthy of for people to habitate in those particular buildings, must also be taken into consideration. Because you don't give a contract to somebody to build your house or whatever it is, and the person would go and buy shoddy materials, and you allow such a person to continue to build. Because at the end of the day, it is going to harm whosoever is going to occupy those particular, structures. So these are some of the issues that I think that people should pay attention to. And metropolitan assemblies have actually also even earmarked certain buildings that they think that they are potential for collapse and all that. I think that they should come, in tandem with those particular people who are the owners of those buildings, so that at least they would be able to have that kind of negotiations and, to be able to make sure that they pull those particular, structures down. Otherwise, we will continue to cry that, okay, let's come and save lives and all that. Meanwhile, we actually slept to the point that, that actually causes these particular distractions and all that. So, Senator, I think that this is what I want to say regarding the floods and then the issue of the central region.
I know my brothers will come in, but the issue is beyond just the authorities now.
Okay.
Look, the authorities are not able to act because they are being gagged. The planning officer,
yes,
the building, the inspector, even the district chief executive or the chief executive, he cannot take certain decisions because his party chairman wants a particular building permit to be issued because he's a party member. So he wants to protect his job as a district chief executive. He say, okay, go and do it for them. So basically, that is the issue.
So, so to what extent, at what point are we actually going to wean ourselves from this business of I must go to whatever political pressures that is coming? But these are the things that I think that
you came in through politics.
You
you came in through. If the party was on the power, you'll not be there. I think that's one of the challenges we have to do.
That's a problem.
The interesting thing is that he's a former chief executive too.
You watch your back. Yes, you don't want to have a problem with the party. They will tell you the party brought you. So when they tell you anything, you must do it.
Yes.
So the chief executives are facing it, ministers are facing it, appointees are facing it. So it's not a job that you should be able to have your own mind. You have to be flexible. If you want to be very strict, as a politician in a political position, you won't last there.
This is another question who says that's what we do in Ghana. We always talk about problems, not how to solve them. Even when we talk about the solutions, like you're doing now, you won't do anything. By end of July, the rains will stop. We will stop talking and resume talking next year. This is Dennis Akwete. It was Professor Doona who used to say that nature is so ordered that any disorder to it by humans will be corrected by nature itself. What happens when it comes to building structures at the local level show that we are sitting on a time bomb. It's just a matter of time. If we don't change direction. That's Dennis Akwete. There's Gabriel. Okay, this is Uncle Ben. One Phil says, anytime an organization becomes allergic to the truth, it is an indication that the curse of God is on it. NPP should be careful, otherwise they will break the 8 in opposition. On the foresters issue, NPP should be more concerned because it will cost them dearly. Comrade.
We are back again on this issue. The thing is that the Constitution of Ghana itself mandates that the leaders, the citizens, that's in Article 36 and 41, mandates us to protect the environment. Then we have a raft of laws and regulations on environmental protection. Disaster is basically a failure of not protecting the environment, or a failure of planning, or failure of enforcement. So we have apart from the Constitution, Article 36 and 41, we also have the EPA Act, which has been amended to Act 1124. We have the Water Resources Commission Act, which is Act 522. We have the Forestry Commission Act 571. We have the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 925. We have the LI on environmental regulation, assessment regulation. We have the LI on zoning and land use regulation. We have so many laws, and these laws are supposed to govern how we use the environment that our ancestors fought for us and we have inherited. The Kwesi Dawood mentioned that there's climate change. Yes, there is climate change. There is climate variability. So we are going to experience some of these disasters, or whatever caused the disasters. Heavy rain, drought, storms, all those ones are going to increase. What we can do as human beings, just like even animals do, is to plan for disasters. Recently, there was a heavy rain. During the heavy rains, there was a video floating around. I went to Tech, so people were even mocking that, oh, there was water on the Wewesu River in Tech. But if you watch that video carefully, you will realize that the water course was inundated, heavily inundated, and the water course spilled over 20 meters beyond its normal channel. Not a single house was in the way of the water. Not a single development was in the way of water. All the banks and the buffers, what we call the riparian buffers, were empty, full of trees and vegetation. So the water spilled to the vegetation, and when the water level came down, the water came back to the channel. So people were trying to mock Tech that, oh, they were planners and engineers, so why is there flooding? Of course, flooding will happen. It is the effect of the flooding that will determine whether you are prepared for disasters or not. And we have brought ourselves to this. In fact, we are here to talk about the Accra, the urban situation. Now, we have gone beyond Accra. So the question is no longer just building waterways or sanitation. It's more than that. So clearly, you can clearly see that the Samurai Boy, that place, we know that there's a lot of illegal mining there. We know that people have invaded forest reserve for which they are standing trial. We know that there's a lot of water bodies that have been blocked for mining, whether legal or illegal. They've been blocking the water for mining. And water is like that. It will always find somewhere to go. And if you can't find its channel, it will come to your house. It will come to your road. It will demolish your bridge. And these things are going to increase in intensity and the number of times that they occur. So we must get prepared. I think, as somebody said, and Senna, I want to task you that, please, maybe one of the things that you can take up is to, I don't know whether you have the means but to set up a way of bringing all the people who can have solutions to this problem together. When you decide on the course of action, as journalists in your service to Ghana and posterity, you will every week be asking the people that are supposed to take action, what have they done about it? Because next year we'll come back to talk about it. Even though we are not government, we are not this, but maybe that will be our role that we can play for Ghana's development. We don't need to talk about solutions ad infinitum again, how do we track the solutions that we ourselves said we are going to implement? Because if indeed those solutions can solve the problem, then if we implement it, it will solve the problem. So why are we not implementing it? So, Senna, I'm giving you this task, you and your team, that we need a weekly report on what they are doing every week to solve the problem, the solutions that we are preferring. I think some of the first things that Honorable said that, when you enforce the law, people will come at you. In fact, that is the biggest issue. That if the politicians and the people, and I'll mention the politicians because ultimately they hold the power in this country. Because you mentioned the officers. The officers, they can be sent to another place. They can be directed by somebody to do something. But ultimately, who is in charge? And we are urging the politicians to enforce the law. Even before enforcing the law, all the things that if you go to some societies that are doing well, they virtually prevent people from committing crimes. We should physically prevent people from committing to even think of enforcing. What can we do? We know that these are spillovers from water courses. Why can't we say these are red zones? Nobody should do mining here. Nobody should build here. And it's published that a child born today knows that this place, because when we were growing up, you say you can't go and cut firewood in the grove, right? Everybody knows. So why can't we have the same thing that say that these areas are red zones? No matter what, we will not develop those places. Even before we come to, if people go in there, what do we do to them? We must have those ones. For instance, we will have for riparian buffers that all water bodies within 20 meters of the water body, no development, no usage, whether for mining, for building, for anything, those places. Then forest reserves, nothing should. I remember in 2000, I remember when Professor Graham and who were demonstrating against mining in forest reserve. It's not Galamsey that went to forest reserve first, though. It's Newmont. Newmont was giving forest reserve to start mining. But we need to make all those places red zones. When they come to the mining, because in those places, mining that's causing the flooding. Those places, we have said it over and over again. You cannot regulate 5,000 mining companies, whether they are legal or illegal. We are asking that this idea of creating so many mining companies, whether they are legal or illegal, you can't regulate them. You need to have large institutions where people are working within those institutions, whether they are even working independently, but they are part of a big mining concession owned by a few, the group as one large concession. If you have 500,000 in one district, how are you going to manage them if they are doing something wrong? Otherwise, we'll keep coming back to this thing. And I'll just end by saying that when it comes to the engineering and those, I'm told the solutions are there, but it is the effective law enforcement. We don't want enforcement just for the small people, the non-powerful people. We want enforcement for the big people, because that's what will be effective. Because if you catch one small person somewhere and jail him, what have you done? What about the big people who have influence and power? What are you doing? Because if you do that, those behind will now say, okay, let me be careful, because even powerful people are being. And then we, the citizens, what we can do is to hold the leaders accountable to do the right thing. Because we hope we have time for the football. When we lose football match, we say they should sack GFA president, we should sack the coach, we should bench the players. Why are we not using the same principle to the politicians and those who govern us? So, Senator, this is because of lack of time. This is where I'll end myself.
And thank you very much. The two of you are both graduates of KNUST, right? Planning. You did land economy. Okay. Have you ever found out why our people believe that everywhere must be built. Like no space must be left undeveloped. Like there's that mindset that governs us. Anyway, this is Professor Martin Otienbebio. He wrote a whole article on the matter of how even the Ebury Hill, development on the Ebury Hill, is one of our major problems in Accra when it comes to flooding. And he then, part of the article says these developments, both authorized and unauthorized, point to a deeper systemic failure, a disconnect between planning, enforcement, and political will. This is where the broader lesson for Accra and Ghana becomes apparent. Urban expansion is inevitable, but unregulated expansion into ecologically fragile zones is self-destructive. By allowing the Ebury Hills to be degraded, the city is dismantling a natural infrastructure that protects it from floods, regulates its microclimate, and preserves biodiversity. In doing so, it risks amplifying the very disasters it seeks to avoid. The metaphor bears repeating. A city must not cut its nose to spite its own face. And I'll come to you shortly, but before that, because let's talk about Nkrumah. If you're looking for any of the Nkrumah books to buy, I have here Africa Must Unite, Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana, the autobiography of Kwame Nkrumah. He talks about the years before independence, the things that happened. You can find them at Freedom Bookshop. All the books, Freedom Bookshop, all books by Nkrumah. You can, that's 16 Laimomo Close, Asylum Down, near Apollo Theatre, Circle Accra. Call the number 0246 708898. And you know nowadays you don't have to be anywhere physically to get anything delivered to you. Anything can be sent to your house. So just call the number 0246 708898. Okay. 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 All right.
Your time is already up, so let me just rush through and then bring the program to conclusion. You see, the difference between the word indiscipline and discipline is IN. You know, indiscipline is IN. And that IN stands for institutional negligence. Once you're able to deal with institutional negligence, then we are all disciplined. Now, listening to my brother, that fella who is a member of parliament and has been an MC before, what it tells me is that they have the willpower as individuals. They want to do what is right, but the political climate is what pushes all of them to do what is wrong. And we have said time without number that this type of the democracy that we are practicing is an electoral democracy and not a developmental democracy, where the person sitting there, the authority sitting there is thinking about the next election. So what do I do to make sure that I retain in power? But I keep telling politicians that if they had taken a cursory look at our trajectory, they would know that when you do what is right, instantly you may not receive the benefit.